Hey, welcome back to JG3 Reviews. My name is James, and here we like to explore the world of fountain pens, ink, paper, all that good related stuff. And today it is a fountain pen day. A while back, Eureka Pens from South Korea shared this pen with me to share with you. It is the Eureka Symmetry. It is a really well-made, well-turned pen made of a really high-strength material that makes it fantastic for everyday carry. I've been carrying it ever since, and it has never dried out. It has never had a skip. It has just been absolutely excellent. This was the first pen for me from Eureka, and so it was a first impression not only of this pen, but of the company itself. And let me tell you, it set the bar high. So when they said, would you like to look at another pen? I said, absolutely, send it on. So today's pen, provided by Eureka for review, and it is the Eureka Dodecagon in that ever increasingly popular Ultem material, another material that is quite strong, fantastic for everyday carry, and so it sets again kind of a high expectation for me of a good everyday carry fountain pen. So we will look at the design of the pen. Of course, we're going to look at how it writes, the function, all of that good stuff, and then I'm going to tell you what I really think about the Eureka Dodecagon in Ultem. So let's spin that camera and get started. And here it is, the Dodecagon in Ultem. Makes a good first impression, I think, just looking at the pen. Of course, the material is interesting and plays with the light in a kind of a cool way. I like that it's semi-transparent so that you can see that nib in there and see how much ink, in this case, how much ink I don't have. I'm nearly out there, aren't I? I just like it. I like the overall appearance, especially where it's a bit thicker here at the end and has that amber look that I think looks really good. So machining done nicely. You'll notice that the flat sides meet up as they should when the pen is closed. As you can see, the edge is also done really nicely with a chamfered edge, or a chamfered. We have to speak both Englishes here sometimes, and that looks really good, I think. Up at the finial, they have their Eureka logo with the light bulb. I like that. Kind of a playful touch at the end of the pen. And of course, I think in this material, that logo is even more fitting. It just looks kind of cool, plays well together. As we come down the pen, aside from those flat sides, it is a very simple design. It does taper. I don't know if you can tell that well, but it tapers toward the end. You have, again, those chamfered edges, and then just a flat end. And that, again, all done well. One thing I've been impressed with Eureka in both this pen and in that symmetry, all of their machining is really well done. I am very impressed, and I'm not finding anything that just raises a red flag on this pen at all. Really, really nicely done. And I've been living with it for a couple of weeks, using it every day, and yeah, it's just really well made. I think that they're doing a great job. For turns to get that pen off, I guess we'll reference the light bulb. So that is 1 and just past a quarter, so we'll call that 1 1/4. So 1 1/4 turns to get the cap off. Like the Eureka Symmetry, it does not post. Now with that cap off, a few different things jump out at me right away, and they do affect the use of the pen. One is, you will notice it has a pretty generous step down, and with a lot of pens, that's going to mean discomfort. I'm looking at you, Pilot Metropolitan. In this case, not so, because one of the other things is this nice, long grip section. You can hold this pen so far down, you don't even know that those threads or that step down is even there. I love the long section on this pen, and it makes for a more comfortable writing experience when you do have this kind of a step down. Now, there's a couple of other things. With that step down is also another chamfered edge, and because that does have a bevel to it, even if you did high grip this pen, it's not going to be sharp or uncomfortable. And let's face it, that's just a really nice extra touch that looks really good on the pen and shows the craftsmanship involved with this pen. The threads themselves are really well done, nice and sharp. They work really well. And then you come down the aforementioned nice long grip to the nib. You can get this micro-blasted steel nib that has this really nice matte finish to it and just a minimalist look. Now this is a medium, and they do tune them themselves and make sure that they're ready to go to the customer. Standard plastic feed. That does also, of course, mean that this is an interchangeable nib should you decide to go another direction later on. Now, ergonomically speaking, the pen is plenty long, as you can see, for all but the absolute largest of mitts. So you're going to be able to write with this pen comfortably. Again, the combination of the length of the pen, that long section, it should be easy for you to find your little Goldilocks spot on this pen. And it just feels really good in hand. You will notice the feel of those facets. If that sort of a thing is a pro or a con for you, you might want to be aware of that. But those are not sharp edges. I find it perfectly comfortable writing for a long writing session. And then when we remove that barrel, you will find a standard international converter included with the pen. And of course, it does take both long and short international cartridges. If it's shorts, it is long enough to carry a spare behind the one you have installed in that pen, though it's also long enough it might rattle in there if that would drive you nuts, but you can carry it if you need it. One thing I like about Eureka is they put a lot of information on why they do what they do and what experiments they've done both with materials. There's even information on how they decided 12 sides and making sure it was a roll stop, but getting the design that they wanted. Lots of great information on the site. That link is below. But before you go check that out, let's do a size comparison and then get to that writing test. All right, for our size comparison today, of course, we have the Eureka Dodecagon, the Eureka Symmetry, which is a little bit shorter, and then the TWSBI Go, another great everyday carry. Not as durable as either of these two in its plastics, but a very easy to carry pen. And then, of course, a Lamy All-Star, which finds its way into a lot of backpacks around the world. All right, skipping the posting part of this portion because the pen does not post, you can see that it's about the same length as a Lamy Studio or Safari, a little bit longer because of that number 6 nib, basically. The pen body and grip kind of comes in about the same. That would give you a pretty good idea of the pen's size. It is larger in girth than the Lamy, much more similar to that TWSBI Go. Just as a goofy aside, I grabbed the wrong cap, and yes, they are actually interchangeable between these two pens. All right, now for the moment of truth of any fountain pen. How does the pen actually write? Hopefully I got all the syllables in there. This is a medium nib, steel number 6. So, not a lot of give, but a nice nib. And they've got this one to a nice, smooth, pencil-like feedback that I like. You can hear it, you can feel the connection to the paper, but it's not overly smooth like a pen I used the other day where you would hit its smooth, sweet spot and it was like you hydroplaned on the ink. Almost too smooth, just on the verge of too smooth. This one is I think, for me, just right. I like that little bit of feedback. It's kind of like driving a car with manual steering at speed. You feel a little bit more connected to the paper, a little bit more connected to the road and the car analogy, and I like that. Ink today, probably have already guessed some of you, ancient copper. Great fall ink. Great anytime ink for me, but certainly good November ink. Wetness, let's try that. Not too bad. Now, I think I did do something there, but that's okay. Wetness is not too bad. I've had no issues with this pen in daily use. Reliable as the day is long. Again, you're not going to get line variation or anything like that out of this nib. That's not what it is. This is a standard medium, but you are going to get a really reliable workhorse daily driver. Close that B so it doesn't drive my daughter crazy. She does not like it when her dad has the bad habit of not closing out a letter. Neither did my second grade teacher teaching me cursive. I think that was me. I kind of felt that in my hand. We'll do a speed test here and see. Oh, I'm also running out of ink. I think that may actually be the issue there. Yeah, I think I'm nearly out of ink. Let's check that out. Oh, we'll try to do a speed test. It may or may not have the ink to get through it. All right. Well, actually, that did really great. Now I need to go refill my pen. But that did great on the speed test. No issues whatsoever. I think somewhere in there I felt my hand do something, but I don't even see that. It looks like it kept up just fine. You know, sometimes it really does. You can't blame the golf clubs and you can't blame the pen. It's user error, and I get that every now and then, don't I? And sometimes I get it on camera. In fact, I would argue I get it more on camera than anywhere else. All right, so a quick rundown of pros and cons for the pen. Very durable material, excellent craftsmanship, writes really well. These are going to go on my pro list. Price. You know, these pens are very reasonably priced. Now, I'm not going to say the number right here just in case it has changed since the last time I looked, but there will be a link in the description below. There's no affiliation there whatsoever. That's just there for you to go and check out and see for yourself. But I find them to be very reasonably priced for the level of craftsmanship, the materials that are used, and compared to competition. I think they're very competitively priced. Cons. I guess not posting for me is generally considered a con, but it's not a deal breaker kind of a con. It's just kind of a, it doesn't post. What am I going to do with the cap? So, you know, not the biggest deal in the world, and there are design reasons not to do it. It does kind of limit the things you can do with a pen's design when you're having to accommodate posting. So different designers and pen makers make that happen or not happen. Not the biggest deal in the world. Any other cons? I've had no performance cons. The pen has worked as it should and done so very well. Again, really well made. Nothing glaring. I haven't had any big problems with the pen at all. I haven't even really had any small problems with the pen at all. There's no clip for people who really want a clip. It is a clipless design. Again, that's just a different kind of a design. I always feel like I'm kind of being unfair when I say that no clip or no posting is a con. But, you know, for some people, it is a con, okay? Another pro, just handy everyday thing that not everybody thinks about, but those who think about it really do, it's quick on and off with that cap. And that does matter when you're talking about an EDC pen, which this is clearly meant to be. So, yeah, that too is a pro. So cons, really not much. Those are just design decisions and preferences and that sort of a thing. Pros, man, it's got a lot of pros. This really is a great pen, and I definitely suggest that you check it out in case it might be something that you're interested in. And I would remind you that they do have other materials and even some a little bit more elaborate designs, including a diamond cap and ebonite and things like that. So really, you know, check out the pen. This review is really just of the one in Ultem, but there's definitely other things that you're going to want to look at. And with that, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Hit that bell so you know when a new video comes out, because it doesn't always throw the videos in front of subscribers. You need to remember that. Sometimes you won't know that there's a new one out. And then, as always, especially in this time of Thanksgiving when I'm filming this, thank you for watching, and God bless you, and have a great week.